Hopefully this records better than last week. So I want to record me going over the lessons, your assignments this week. This is for ESSI 303, Module 2. Let's look at the calendar. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's look at the discussion. Discussion 2.1, characteristics of effective instruction. So you're going to want to look at the Iowa Department of Education. Effective teachers do the following: maintain a student-centered focus in their classroom, strive to teach for understanding that goes beyond basic applications, assess student learning and adjust based on assessment data, employ lessons that are rigorous and in complexity and relevant to the development level of students and their current understandings of the world around them, and teaching for learner differences. Consider these characteristics and genuinely consider which are likely to be strengths for you and which areas you hope to develop further. So think back to your teaching styles. Then explain steps you can take while at BVU to further develop all 5 characteristics while focusing on those that need the most development. Be sure to read and respond to at least 2 peers with questions or additional suggestions for growth opportunities. So when you do that, make sure that you don't just say, I agree. Make sure you go into more depth. Um, so it is also best to do a little research. Maybe look into your books, maybe look into some readings, go onto websites. So you want to read these, consider how you can become better at those. So, and your field experiences are great opportunities. Your professors, instructors, all those are great opportunities to do that. So you want to make your first response by Sunday, respond to 2 classmates by Thursday on that one. Discussion 2.2, case study applications of universal design for learning, or RI. Consider your 5 case study students. So remember last week what we did is I had you complete 1 and I compiled those. You had 4 of them and then you'd have to come up with 1 more. So that would be, you would go back and think of 1 more of those students to do this spin, the strengths, preference, interest, and needs. Then what learner needs exist for some students that should not be met by providing universal accommodations? What learner needs can be met by using the same strategies across all students? So this is where you're thinking now of this. So here, the all, what strategies can all students levels be met? And then here, what can some and just a few? So I'm hoping now that that visual is a little bit, you have a little bit more understanding there. And then for each of your 5 students, list at least 1 need you might meet through retrofitting and 1 need you might meet through universal design for learning. And we really didn't get to talk about what retrofitting is, and we have talked about UDL, but I added the definitions here. Retrofitting is when you just try to come up with something on the fly. You find a resolution as you're teaching the curriculum. So you kind of see what they're doing, and if as they're not experiencing success, it's working with the curriculum as it is. And even that one sometimes isn't workable. The curriculum could be outdated. And so you just kind of go with the flow. UDL is a way of thinking about teaching and learning, and it helps all students have an equal opportunity. It's doing like what we did, yesterday, and we talked about that differentiation. This approach offers flexibility in ways that students can access material, and it engages them with ways that we show that they know how that they can learn, content, process, product. So what you have to do here is that you respond or you make your original post by Sunday, and that You can respond to 2 peers within the post, or I am going to make this so that you can respond in class, because I think this is going to be um, a good one that we discuss. So you have that choice, because you think this will be a good one where we learn from one another on. I really did appreciate your class discussions the other day. So then, oops, sorry about that. I'll have to look at that one as well. So this one is a little bit different. So you have to go back and look at that compare and contrast RI and UDL. It says consider the universal design and UDL and retrofitted instruction on the foundational understandings covered in class in regard to your academic content. So now we want you to start finding a lesson plan. So you should start looking for a lesson plan that you're going to want to start accommodating um, across your students. So, be thinking, are you going to want it to be art? Are you going to want it to be science? And then identify 5 similarities, 5 differences upon that retrofitted instruction. Upon that UDL, identify 5 similarities, 5 differences. How and when will you use each in general? And then how and when will you use related to that selected lesson and targeted students? So think about each of those students that we looked at. So think about those students that I shared with you, because I compiled all those students. So this might take a little bit longer to do, because you're going to have to look up your lesson plan now. So you can look up one. You do not have to write your own. You're welcome to. You can use a lesson plan from your observation if you would like. So really make sure that you take time to do this one, because this one's going to be a little bit more time consuming. And then this one, analyzing the trajectory of my standards. So this one I showed you how to do, and you're going to want to have this one for when you put that lesson plan together. Based on the literacy example explored in class, I really don't care. What I want you to do, this is that me giving you choices, and I'll go in and fix this on the lesson plan. I want you to choose uh, based on the lesson plan that you're using. I want you to differentiate your standards and objectives based on the lesson plan you're writing. So based on how I showed you, go in to the the trajectory, the state standards, identify your standard, and then go above and below the relevant grade level standards. So differentiate it just based on that. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else, but use those standards. And just like I showed you, that's all you have to do. Nothing else on that. So don't make it too hard. Just, attach those standards. And co-teaching side trip 2, planning for roles. So in our last module, we considered that co-teaching readiness from the perspective of teacher traits, personalities, and philosophies. This week, we're going to look more closely at students and lesson learning routines. So review each of these. So like this one, it's planning for co-teaching and behavioral needs. So you would just look at this, like at the curriculum content area. This is a good thing when you're planning. It's very vague, easy to take and do when you're co-teaching, and then the big responsibilities when you're co-teaching. So this is something that this is a tool that you could share out. Uh, you know, when you're co-teaching here, it says introducing the partnership to the class. Is that the responsibility of the general education teacher, the special education teacher, both? So I want you to think about, describe how they will help you plan for appropriate roles during lesson delivery. That's all you really have to do for those here, and then upload that. It's very simple. It just takes a little bit of time. So, and make sure you look at the standards, when you upload the lessons. So please let me know if you have questions. There's really just a few short ones, and then that one that's going to take you a little bit more time. Remember, I have office hours Monday night, but that's going to be cutting it pretty close. So make sure you email if you have questions. Have a great week.